It's time for the movie raid, movie review, and tonight I'm going to talk about Beetlejuice, a sequel to Beetlejuice. So, this story takes place, what's going on now with the Dietz family, okay? And we also see that Lydia, who is, still not doing as good as we expected, but she's a psychic in a way, a spirit psychic, and sees ghosts and whatnot, and has a show. And she has a distraught daughter, and she basically hates her because of her lifestyle and whatnot, and so forth and so forth. But the thing is, Beetlejuice is still very much in her life, Lydia's life, and she periodically sees moments of Beetlejuice, and we also learned that there's something much bigger involved, not just between Beetlejuice and Lydia, but also Beetlejuice has a problem too. And it involves a past marriage that wasn't really, was basically abruptly, annulled, basically, you might as well say. And we see that the story itself kind of just, I won't say spirals all over the place in a way, because I see it as a Beetlejuice cartoon episode. If you guys have not seen Beetlejuice the cartoon series, you really should, because they used to air it on Nickelodeon and various other outlets at that time. But Beetlejuice the cartoon, he always get into all kinds of shenanigans in the outworld, and always brought Lydia along, and they go through all kinds of misadventures. So I see Beetlejuice as a cartoon episode of Beetlejuice, because it involves this woman who really desperately wants to marry Beetlejuice, because in the past, well, she had her chance, but Beetlejuice foiled basically everything, and he went on and thought he was living his own life, and forgot about her. But due to her, let's just say, her fate at the time, well, she's back, and now she's back with a vengeance. So now that we got the Dietz family being heavily involved within the situation, what Beetlejuice is trying to do, that involves the woman. Again, it's kind of confusing how it's explained, but like, I see, like, story-wise, it's just kind of two parts in a way, because we got what's going on with Beetlejuice, and then what's going on with Lydia's kid. But let me talk about the effects. First of all, I really appreciate what they did with the effects. I think, honestly, man, with the sandworm, I honestly like the design of the original sandworm from Beetlejuice, the first film. I really like it. I mean, I like how it had the detail to it. I mean, I don't know, just I know it's supposed to be cartoony in this film, but it really did look very cartoony. I mean, I don't mean to be disrespectful to it, but like, I don't know, I kind of like the original look of it. But I mean, it doesn't really make me like, dislike this movie or anything like that. But Sandworm is definitely involved in this movie. But what I love about this, I love the fact that we go back to the Outworld, or the afterlife world, or whichever you may want to call it, the land of living, and what we see from Beetlejuice 1, as the main characters go in the waiting room, and all these other characters are in the waiting room, and how we see how they died and whatnot, which is great. And in this case, we do see that. We see quite a bit of that. And this is heavily focused on that Outworld area, which is great. I mean, there's all kinds of things that we see going on, but if you pay attention, you really got to pay attention, because some of the things you might miss, because there's some interesting things going on in the background while we see these characters going crazy. But what I kind of have a little iffy problem with is that Lydia's kid meets up with a boy who obviously has something a little bit different with him, which I'm not going to give too much away within the story plot of this, but let's just say that this boy involved with the girl what kind of gets her into something else that she is unaware of, and that involves Lydia having to, be more involved with and in the situation, which obviously bringing Beetlejuice into this picture and how he wants to get back out again. But another praise is that Michael Keaton returning as Beetlejuice does a great job. And, so many years has passed, and he still nails this role like no other. Like, he just slips right back into it. The same musty old suit that Beetlejuice still wears. So, I mean, that's a huge plus. And the same actors, the remaining actors, reprise the role, which is amazing. I do find that Lydia, it just seems like her character is a little bit, I don't know, stale. Like, my God, like every moment is like a distraught moment with her. I mean, aside from the main story of what's bothering her, but like, it just seems like every single moment, even a happy moment, or at least a moment with her daughters, it's the same straight face, same straight emotion, one-dimensional with Lydia. Now, Lydia was a gothic girl in the first film, as we know, but like, it's not like, she can't, show a smile here and there, a smirk or something. I mean, she's still gothic. I mean, she's still got that gothic feel to the character, but like, dang, And of course, Lydia's stepmom is also being a part of this storyline as well, which is fantastic. I absolutely love. Now, I do understand why Jeffrey Jones is not involved in this movie. Well, we have our assumptions, which I won't get into, but the reason why he's not actually in this movie as far as acting wise. But I do like like what they did with this character, though, which is great. And I love the animation that they did with this character too. I thought that was pretty cool. And I love the fact that they rebuilt the iconic house, the town that we could actually see that's involved, even the bridge that we saw in the first film. Fantastic job. The people that built those, you guys did a great job with that. I mean, amazing detail, and I just absolutely love that we get to go back and see, these locations and how this family is still holding up since then. Fantastic. And I do like how they wrote off the other characters from the first film. Now, obviously, they weren't going to bring back the same characters, the same ones, and I also respect that too, because it's a new story. These particular characters, we don't really need to see them having kind of real interaction. Now, we probably could have seen them in an Outworld, but it was already explained that they found a loophole, which gives these main characters their rite of passage, so to speak, and they've moved on. So I understand that, but as a story itself, I mean, you got all kinds of things going on. You got, it's kind of hard to keep track in a way, because you're fixating on the woman who is gung-ho on trying to get Beetlejuice to, be permanently wed with her, and she's going on a rampage. She's, killing, dead people left and right, because, if you didn't know, she has the ability to suck the souls, or, basically suck the life, not souls, but the life out of anything, of any, even if they're dead, as we see. But, we see that going on. We see what Lydia is trying to cope with. I mean, we see what Lydia's stepmom, trying to deal with. And then we also see Lydia's kid dealing with this boy that she met. I mean, it's like a 3-part story thing going on here, So, in a way, you kind of have a hard time concentrating on what's what here. Now, I mean, I know it sounds negative to say that, but, to me, it's like, man, pick a moment to where we can just fixate on this and then fixate on that later, rather than this and then this, then this, and then we go back to this and then see what this person's done. It gets a little bit, like I said, you lose the focus and concentration on these other characters that's going on. But the story-wise itself, it's not too bad. I like it, and I think it has its moments. It's definitely different, for Beetlejuice. And I love the fact that this is the outworld that we actually get to explore, because in the first film we don't get to see a whole lot of that. And I was always curious about that myself. I was like, man, well, what else can we see in this outworld of the undead? And we do get to see. We see the whole operation of it, and I think it's fantastic. And it's comical moments. It's definitely funny, because we got like an actual Soul Train, right? And we got actual the actual disco performers. They're dead ones are actually eternally dancing with funk, and soul, which is great, for these characters to go on the train of the great beyond, So, and I love William Dafoe. We can't forget about him, man. Fantastic of how he played this role. He plays as this actor who plays as a cop who thinks he's a cop, but he's an actor. Fantastic. I mean, I kind of wish there was a little bit more involvement, but like, I like the balance, how that worked out with that character. And as far as an overall of how this film has been, like I said, I felt that this was more of a Beetlejuice cartoon type of episode rather than a movie itself. And I don't think it's a bad movie. I think it's a good sequel on its own. And I'm curious to see where the next sequel might be. But I do feel that they could have had a little bit more character with Lydia and her kid, because it just it was kind of hit and miss with that, at least to me. But let me know in the comments, what do you think about how their characters should have been, or are you satisfied with how they are in this film, in this story? But if I were to rank this out of a 10, I definitely give it a 7 for sure, because you got Michael Keaton reprising Beetlejuice, and he does such a great job. You have several of the actors reprising the roles from the first movie, even better, right? They could have easily recasted somebody, they could have easily digitalized somebody, but they really didn't. And all these years that have passed, you kind of got to give them major props for bringing back these characters that we have not seen in so many years, and bringing back some of the elements that we saw in the first film. That's another big plus. So really, having to see the practical effects, or even the normal effects that we normally saw in the first film, that's a big plus too. But as a story as a whole, it just felt like it was like a 2-part type of story that I was watching here. Like, I mean, are we fixated on the woman, or are we fixated on this? So that's where it kind of, I wasn't really completely confused, but I was like, man, I was just kind of like, okay, so what's going on here? Where are we achieving this here? And then the solution to the problem with Lydia's kid, that ends it with her, and then we go back on to what Lydia's problem is, and obviously that would be Beetlejuice, and then we go with what Beetlejuice's problem, and it's like, oh my gosh, like, it's kind of, man, just dragging out there on that. But it's a decent movie, and I'm very happy with it, and I look forward to Beetlejuice. So hopefully it's when it comes in the making, I look forward to it. So again, you should definitely check it out. If you haven't checked it out, check it out.